Thanks for listening to the Von Haessler Doctrine podcast. Remember, you can hear the show every weekday from 9 to noon right here on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from Sherwood Forest in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, Hour 1 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. I am your lovable, huggable, mid-morning chat host, Eric Von Haessler, surrounded by the Doctrinaires. Tim Andrews is here, Autumn Fisher is here, and of course, the handsomest producer in all of producery, Jared Yamamoto is here.
And Eric, do you have any Thursday thoughts this Thursday?
I know you're trying to get under my skin there, young Jared, but turns out, yes, as a matter of fact, I do have at least one Thursday thought. You know, I read a lot of the news aggregators. In my line of work, one has to be up to speed with current events. And so I have the news aggregators. Do you use news aggregators, Tim Andrews?
What is a news aggregator?
Well, there's
Drudge Report.
That would be one news aggregator.
He's
Another,
too liberal now. I can't.
Google.
Go
You can't. You're losing him. Huh?
Yeah.
There would be Google News is a big aggregator. So
4chan?
it's just no, that would not be a. That would be called a hole that you'll be lucky to drag yourself back out of. That's a whole different thing.
Understood.
But the news aggregator, then you don't have to go searching. It kind of just throws all the headlines. Doesn't matter. U.S. news, world news, science, entertainment. And you kind of keep up with things. And I notice that there are a lot of stories now about how apparently we're in the midst of a change. And there's a call for a new masculinity, a rebooting, if you will, of what it means to be masculine. As a GQ has a whole magazine. Do people still read magazines?
Sure.
I don't know, but their whole thing, they still make them. And their whole magazine, the whole edition is about the new masculinity. And I just want to let people know Eric Von Haessler is on board. The new masculinity, which, by the way, looks a lot like femininity. Is that a word?
Sure.
It is now, because as it's part of the new masculinity, is that I created the word femininity.
Femininity is a word.
Femininity. Why do I have trouble saying it?
I don't
Like
know.
Fonzie trying to say thanks.
Well, it is a woman.
Femininity.
Give him the right.
Yeah. So I'm all on board, because the way that I look at it, if we can get into a future very soon where I expect my wife to kill the bug. If we get into a future very soon where someone menacing is at the door, I can just send my wife to take care of that.
Yeah.
It seems to me we really shouldn't be fighting this new masculinity thing, because first and foremost, I'm a lazy person, then a man, then whatever I identify with on any day. So as a lazy person, I'm thinking maybe not fight this new masculinity so much. It might let me off the hook, and it might make it easier. Also, I want to let people know right now, as a gesture to let people know that I'm all for the new masculinity, I'd like to announce right here that I am pregnant. And
Congratulations.
Well, you're welcome. I'm identifying as pregnant until we find the right scientist.
Okay.
But
Who's the father?
me.
Wow.
Well, because this is
very
another
amphibious.
announcement is that I am. You've heard of non-binary people.
Correct. Yeah.
I am non-binary, which means that I do not identify as a man or a woman.
Understood.
So therefore, I am my own partner. I am both man and woman,
Grandpa Jones has a song about that.
father and mother to this child that I am carrying as part of the new masculinity. So don't say that I'm not woke, because I is. Let's do this.
Headlines for Thursday, October 17th.
bending over backward, literally, to prove that I'm woke. You ever try to impregnate yourself?
Oh, several times.
Man, you gotta be lithe. Flexibility becomes very important.
That used to be an insult.
Before I also on the masculinity thing, if we're going to have new masculinity, if it's okay to call for a new masculinity, can we call for a new femininity as well? Can that be done? Is it okay to say, hey, well, if we're going to make some changes on the masculine side, maybe the ladies could make a few changes on the feminine side?
Well, do you have any examples?
Femininity. Yeah. Make some changes. One would be, how about stopping with the telling the story about what that bitch at work said to you 17 times? How about that? That would be a good change in the feminine. If we're going to change some things about masculinity,
right.
I think maybe the feminine side could change a few things. And one of them I would start with is I would no longer have to pretend I care when women complain over and over and over again about some slight petty thing that happened at work that pissed them off.
I know what she meant by
Jared
that.
Yem.
It's a trade-off, right? We
Yeah,
change the masculine,
right.
change a little bit what it means to be feminine. Another thing would be
I'll make the bed, you don't talk.
well, no, that's the old masculinity.
Oh, yeah.
The new femininity, I think, would involve never bothering me with any sort of details about psychics or astrology. This is a small change that can be made amongst the ladies. If I were going to change masculinity, you could tinker and tweak and change anything for the better. As wonderful as the ladies are, the femininity isn't perfect. Yes, sir.
Perhaps it'll be next month's issue. It'll be all about femininity in
The
GQ.
new femininity.
Yeah, because that Hannah Gadsby.
Well, she'll be on both covers.
She's in that GQ. She's the Nanette. She's the lady who decided, she proved that you don't have to be funny to be a comedian.
Right.
And so she's, she lesbian?
I don't know.
She's,
I don't want to say she is and then get in trouble.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being a lesbian. Why are you saying there's something
but
wrong with
I
being a
don't know
lesbian?
if she identifies as binary or
For
what.
heaven's sake.
I don't know any of that.
How dare you?
There's nothing wrong with being a lesbian.
I don't want to say the wrong thing.
So you're afraid of this Hannah Gadsby.
I'm afraid of all of them.
And by,
I don't know what
and by
to say.
them, what do you mean?
How dare you?
The
By
woke,
them.
the woke under 40 people.
Okay, the woke under 40 people. They all look alike to you.
Yes.
The woke under
They
40
all act
people.
alike and sound alike, not look
I'm
alike.
offended.
How dare you?
Oh, sorry, Greta.
What was the question? Now I'm all over the place.
I don't know.
It's all right. No, Hannah Gadsby.
Yeah. Nanette.
So she's in GQ and she's giving some advice to men on how they could change masculinity. And what she's saying is that men should stop fighting the feminine and learn from women and allow some femininity to influence their new masculinity. But then I'm looking at her and she's allowing masculinity to influence her femininity, if you know what I mean. Like, what she's saying is guys should act more like girls. But in the picture, she's wearing a blazer and she looks like she's adopted cultural appropriation. I'll call it what it is. Gender appropriation.
Yes.
She's adopting the look of Casual Friday at your average office place.
Sweater, blazer, pair of jeans.
Yeah, it's and I'm saying, okay, you're out there telling the people what they need to be, and meanwhile, you are appropriating my gender. And so I say, Hannah Nanette Gadsby.
How dare you?
All right, give me some headlines.
Visitors to the
Am I on the record?
I think
I love
you are.
all people. I am pregnant. Respect that. And I identify as non-binary. Now go ahead.
Visitors to the Paulding County District Attorney's Office were appalled at what they say was an inappropriate Halloween display in the front lobby.
Oh, it must be October in America. Every year. This is what are we on the... we got to go to traffic. We got some stuff going on out there. Now, as a producer, Jared, I didn't understand something there. Obviously, you knew we had to go to traffic, but you gave me the headline first and then held up a sign that said toss to traffic. Shouldn't that have been the other way around?
I wanted to make sure that Smiling was in his place at the right time.
Okay, all right. So it's timing was everything there.
Yes.
Okay, give me the headline again.
So visitors to the Paulding County District Attorney's Office were appalled at what they say was an inappropriate Halloween display in the front office.
And again, it's October, so now this will be the first. Let's mark it. This is the first of many stories about people being appalled and shocked, and now, if it's not cultural appropriation, it just was a kid shouldn't see that, and oh my, did you see that the Christian, he had an abortion, and all this stuff is coming, right?
Yes.
Every year. Well, I think it's horrific, so I put an abortion on my front yard. Oh my God! It's every year, over and over again. Now, so this is basically a skeleton. You walk into the office, and as a gag, because it's Halloween, there's a skeleton, and then there's the body mark. What do you call that?
The crime scene markers.
Crime scene marker crime tape around the body. Now, this is the district attorney's office, so I will give you a little bit. Now, there's a possibility that you would be walking into that office to talk to the district attorney about a case about a loved one who was killed. So, probably not the smartest thing, given the people that you know are walking through the door. So I can understand that. But appalled, we have gotten to the point, when they tell you about a new car, so it goes 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. That's how we are now. There's everything is outrageous, as opposed to, hey man, that might not be so cool. Like if somebody walked in here and, their brother was murdered or something, and they got to talk to the district attorney. That's the proper response. We don't have proper responses anymore. The response now is pull out your smartphone, act like it's the worst thing you ever saw in your life. After all, you get enough of those, you just might get verified. and remember, outside of these particular issues, that is still the most important thing. You don't have a chance of being an influencer, they tell me. Without, this every day, this Tim Andrews is upset. He's not, doesn't have a blue check mark on Twitter.
I need to get a job at the New York Times. That way they'll, get that.
It's very difficult to get your brand off the ground if Twitter does not give you that check mark. Yeah. I've never had a problem with it, but a lot of people tell me, Eric.
Did you have a check mark when you were on Twitter?
I don't know. I don't think so. I didn't know what it was. But I don't understand what it does. I don't even understand why it's important. Can you monetize it after you get the check mark? Are you what does the check mark mean? That
just means that
you're really good looking.
It's your official account.
I think it should be the best. The people who's decided the best looking people on Twitter should be the only ones who get.
I'd get like 5 people would get a check.
You're right about that. As I get older, I realize something. We're all a little bit ugly.
Yeah.
That's really the truth. You see these celebrities, and you see them one way, and then like you'll see a shot of them walking out of McDonald's somewhere in L.A. area. You go, wow, my goodness,
just like us.
And it's not like they're horrific. It's just that they're normal.
Right. They don't have a ton of makeup on.
Beauty really comes down to symmetry, right? What we consider a beautiful face, you'll find the two sides of the face look the most alike. The two sides of the face, if you split it down the nose, never are exactly the same. I saw a thing where they took famous people and they take like the left side only and make it like their whole face. It's bizarre.
Oh, yeah.
It's bizarre. Beauty to us is symmetry. So we consider beautiful faces, those are faces where the two sides match the most. They're the most in symmetry. Why is a rose considered beautiful? We don't really know, but there's a symmetry involved with the way that it looks and it unfolds. So I feel like, yeah, those people should be celebrated. The people whose left side of their face match the right side of their face the most should be the ones who get the blue checks. As far as I'm concerned, let's celebrate those people.
I'd never get one then.
That's why age does what it does to even people like George Clooney, right? When gravity gets involved, one side of the face. George Clooney, if you go back to when he was best looking, and it was a time where he was thought to be one of the, certainly as far as male celebrities go, there was like a 5-10 year period where he was considered the best looking male celebrity. Well, now he gets old just like everybody else. Gravity takes effect, and what it does is it misshapes. One side, gravity affects more than the other,
and
that's what you
Botox
notice.
Can't fix.
Well, that's why everything is about tightening and straightening. You're trying to get the symmetry back. I don't know what the hell that has to do with the story on the table about an inappropriate Halloween thing. But you learned something on the Von Haessler Doctrine. We consider beautiful faces, those are the faces where the left side matches the right side closest, never perfectly.
I think Edward Queen with Emory's University Center for Ethics would agree with you because, number one, he is all about face symmetry, but he also fails to see the humor with this skeleton in the lobby.
Well, it's probably slightly inappropriate. The idea of it being appalling, come on, people.
He says you have to ask, where is the adult in the room? It clearly suggests a level of inconsideration, a level of coarseness.
Hold on. And if that guy's a professor at Emory, he's used to looking around and asking, where's the adult in the room?
Get your daily dose of comic relief with Eric Von Haessler mornings at 9. Then shake off the daily stress.
And it's gonna be alright.
With Mark Aram weeknights at 6 on 95.5 WSB.
These 24-hour news networks are just so predictable, It's like everything is. If I had my own 24-hour news network, this is the kind of thing that would happen. We'd be having meetings about what we're going to do that day, and like if it was today, somebody would say, we can get Ronan Farrow." This guy shows up. He puts out. It's all so predictable. He's going to be on every. Is there anybody who stands up anywhere and goes, "Yeah, you know what? He's been on all the other shows."
We don't need him.
No, it's just like, no, that's the thing. That's what's happening right now. Everybody's doing it. Everybody fall in line. It's Ronan Farrow week. Ronan Farrow. I'm looking at him. He looks like a young Ellen DeGeneres, doesn't he? He's like
he does. I call him Satchel Sinatra.
Yeah. Well, we don't know who his real dad was. His official dad was Woody Allen. And when you look at all of this, everything's going on in my back line. I'm like, okay, I get it. You hate your dad. I get it. Bum, bum, bum. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the great Split Ends.
One step ahead of you.
Jared picked this?
Jared never heard of such a great song.
Love is a race from my two.
All right.
Wow, when did this come out?
When did this come out? I believe about 1980, 81, somewhere in there.
It's older than Autumn.
It's older than Autumn. It's about as old as you. Yeah, a little bit older than you.
That's pretty young then.
That guy singing is now part of Fleetwood Mac. Strange World, yes.
Autumn and I are more of a 6 months in a leaky boat kind of Split Ends.
You just picked that out of nowhere, but that is a great song.
It is a great song.
You've never heard it in your life, but that is a great song. Of course, I'm sure you would have let me know if I had let you. So, well, Eric, one step ahead, that was Neil Finn. Of course, 6 months in a leaky boat, his brother Tim Finn.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely correct.
Yes.
Did somebody want to correct me?
Yes, they felt it was so serious that they Facebook messaged the Von Haessler Doctrine and me personally.
Because I made some sort of mistake.
Yeah,
a faux pas, an error, if you will.
Yes.
Or if you won't.
Reg here.
That's up to you. Yes. Reg?
Reg.
Rag?
Reg.
That's
R-E-G.
a strange name. Rag.
R-E-G.
Sounds
Reg.
like a secret thing from Greg.
Oh, it's all, yeah.
Maybe.
Reg, it could be Reg, don't you think? As in Reginald?
It could be.
That's Elton John's real name.
Reginald, what's his last name?
I don't know. John.
Featherbottom.
Big Hits.
Wait, isn't it Reginald Dwight?
Big Hits Glasses Guy, I think is his last name. Yes.
Now, Reg says, Fonzie couldn't say wrong, not thank you.
Oh, that's right.
Saving you from the open mics.
All right, well, thank you, Reg or whatever your name is. That's absolutely correct. Fonzie couldn't say wrong, and there's something else he
couldn't say I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I think I was a kid when Happy Days came on, and I remember. So when you're a kid, you like shows. You don't know why. You don't really have a mind that can critique things, right?
Right.
So when I remember though being probably 13, 12 or something when I'm watching that, and the point that he was going, even at that age, even though not with much of a critiquing mind, I thought to myself, what the hell does this have to do with the 50s? I feel like something's changing here.
Hey,
with this happen.
You have to be socially aware.
And now Henry Winkler, he's like the nicest guy in Hollywood.
Oh, I am. I'm so friendly.
And I can't imagine him now trying to say, hey.
Hey.
What's that again? One time for old time's sake.
Hey.
Let's do this. Listicles.
Millennials write them and we read them.
That's right. Clive Cliverson, my radio guru / consultant, tells me I got to stop being mean to the millennials
nice
if I
to
want to
them.
grow in the future, because they are the future. That's what he tells me.
What have they ever done to you?
And he likes, well, plenty, but I'm thinking this is, he says, you got to get on their wavelength. And we looked into it. We got a large staff here. It turns out millennials do not like to read. They don't like to read things that are long and complicated and more than really, maybe 3 paragraphs at most. And so the professionals who wanted to still get facts into the heads of these millennials, they came up with something called listicles, which tricks the millennial into just bullet points so they don't get fatigued.
Yeah, it's boring.
Yeah, they could do like 2 or 3, go, get some avocado toast, eat it, come back, and then pick up on the next listicle thing. So this is my way of reaching out, my olive branch to the millennials.
What?
Because Clive, it's an olive branch. You know what that is?
Yeah.
It's an olive
Oh,
branch.
like in a martini?
No, that's an olive.
Oh, no, you could use that. Like the stick they put in there
So it's
into a
A
martini.
little sword.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's an olive,
It's like you're
olive
giving me a
stick.
martini, and it's like a way for us to like communicate. I get
Hey,
it.
you look, millennials, I'm being insincere as hell here. So whatever you want to hear, I'm giving you. That's what this is
Cool.
about.
Hey, do you
So
need help with your rent?
I believe that's coming
I
up
do.
here.
My dad cut me off.
Well, and one of the great things about this, too.
She told me that she considers her dad her first sugar daddy.
Because he's so
So
sweet.
I don't know. It's kind of sickening, I think.
It's not working on him anymore, though.
Yeah. Well, there's a limit, hopefully.
This
With
first
your
story,
own
too.
father, there would be a limit, yes.
This first listicle, Clive would be very proud, too, was trending all over the place
Oh, good.
Oh,
yesterday.
well, then we're all on it, kids.
Yeah, let's
So not only
Hey,
is it a
kids.
list,
You know, I read an interview with B.B. King about the late 90s. And he said, if you want to stay relevant, you got to find out what sack the kids are in, and you got to jump in that sack with them. So that's what we're doing, millennial. I'm jumping in the sack with you. I love these listicles. Go ahead, give us, what is it again?
this is the 7 types of sugar daddy relationships.
All right. Well, Autumn could probably tell us about a
Yeah.
couple. You've had a few sugar daddies, have you not?
Oh yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I've gotten where I am today.
That's correct.
Now, the-
I, by the way, was not
With
one.
$1.62 in my savings account.
Well, not everybody's good at it.
We just got paid.
You're flush. You're
Yeah,
flush in
that's. I mean,
cash.
hey, it's more than 0. So
It certainly is.
Now, the first type is sugar prostitution, which is a form.
Sugar prostitution. Okay, I think I can figure this out.
I call him sugar pros.
I think the definition here is very simple. You just remove the first word. Prostitution.
Now,
True.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta
what's
see
the
it up.
difference between just like straight up prostitution and sugar prostitution?
Well, because you're young and they're old, so it's that kind of prostitution arrangement.
now the
Georgia's in the top 3, by the way, the entire country of sugar girls
Yeah.
or sugar babies, and most of them come out of UGA.
Really?
Yes.
Now look.
No, I'm not making this up
Look,
or insulting them.
The alum having a tough week. They don't need this.
Yeah, all right.
All right? It's bad enough they got beat by the Cox. They don't need to hear that.
Now,
Yes.
this University of Colorado story that came out, they're a lot friendlier. They add a little sugar to it.
Oh, so what it is
It's a little
is it-
nicer way of adding to
So
it.
well, here's my question. So the what'd you call it? The sweet
Sugar prostitution.
sugar prostitution. Now, does that mean that the prostitute in this case, no offense, is going to act like they like you or something?
Well, it says
Like they'll act like they care about you. Is that, well, Tim Andrews, he must know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and he knows a little bit about this. What were you going to say there?
The sugar prostitute's one you're more likely to have a one-off with than opposed to paying the rent or giving an allowance to. Am I right about that?
So that's just prostitution.
Well,
Yes.
I was right to begin with. Just
Yes.
remove the first word.
I'm not a prostitute, but I will see you for an hour for $300.
Right.
But I'm not
on the street.
the University of Colorado defines it as a form of sugaring absent emotion and purely the exchange of gifts for sex.
Yeah. Okay. So you, now let me ask you this: can you get in trouble? What if you, let's say, you know that prostitution is against the law,
Yeah.
but what if you work out a barter arrangement? You know, like I give you a dozen eggs or something.
Cut your grass.
Are we in rural China?
They would call that
A dozen eggs, and I cut your grass. I cut your grass for 2 months. Now, if the cops found out about that arrangement, would that be prostitution?
No.
they call
Is
that
it-
compensated dating. which is popular in Asia and involves a monetary and material
Hello.
compensation for grabbing a coffee, which is what Autumn brought up. She mentioned China.
Oh, she knows Asia prostitution. Like, no, she is the expert on the show.
It's true. It doesn't come up very
It's
often.
just not something you talk about a lot. That's all. Yeah, you happen to be an expert in an area that doesn't come up on the show very often.
It's not my fault. We don't cover it.
Yeah, Dems the breaks.
All right, Autumn, to see if you know this one. Sugar dating, which is the most common form of sugaring.
Okay, now this has been around forever. This is when a guy is, I don't know, say 55 years of age.
Yes.
And they've been married a long time. I don't know, say like 30 plus years or something. So basically, then they set up a situation where maybe they have an apartment or something in the city, and a girl who's not 55 and hasn't been married to you for over 30 years, she lives in that apartment, and you pay for it, and you visit every once in a while. And the arrangement is, I don't know, I have no idea about this stuff, but my understanding would be if you were somebody who's 55 in a marriage over 30 years, you would pay for the apartment, and then the arrangement is, when I want to come to the apartment, it's about me, but when I'm not at the apartment, it's about you. Alan, what was her name? I don't know what you're talking about. There's no analogy here to my life.
You are very close here. You don't necessarily have to be married in order to be sugar dating with somebody. It says in this case,
it's just more fun.
Yes, I think that the University of Colorado.
You're pulling one over on your wife.
Wouldn't sugar dating be you just have someone to accompany you?
It says a more advanced form of prostitution.
The University of Colorado says, in this case, most women receive an allowance on a weekly, monthly, or as-needed basis.
Hell yeah.
The sums could range from $200 to several thousands of dollars a month, and it just has it's companionship that could link to sex.
Unfortunately, the quality goes up with the amount of money you're willing to, or I hear that other people are willing to pay. So you can go with the $200 arrangement, but you're going to find yourself in a lot of travel.
Come on, sweetie, let's go to Red Lobster.
After it's over, you're sitting
I'm
in
your
the
sugar baby.
Granny.
parking lot of a travel
Granny
lodge.
misses you.
Then you have sugar friendships, which are a mutually beneficial relationship with someone the woman considers a friend.
This is ridiculous. You're paying money to get banged. Next listicle. You can gussy it up.
I know,
any
there's
way
lots.
you
Just
want
put
to.
Cheeto.
Yeah.
No, that's the platonic one. There is a platonic
Yeah,
one.
that's the one where
Somebody in this office admitted to that on the Mark Aram show. I won't say who it was. I will not say who it was.
Well, they said it on the air.
Well, that's their business.
Well,
That's their. I'm not gonna. Look, I don't cause trouble in the
put
office.
him on blast, Eric. Put him on blast.
I am not going to do it. But it is true that somebody here admitted to Mark Aram on his show that they did this where no physical contact.
Correct.
What, a guy just wants to be around somebody
Yeah,
young.
he's lonely. So you'd be in your late 60s, and
If it's possible,
your
and we
wife
know it's
passed.
possible. If we know it's possible for the older to exploit the younger, that happens all the time. Isn't the other thing possible too?
In this case, yes.
If you're younger and you're just like taking money from some old lonely dude and you're never giving up anything other than, I don't know.
You know, the older dude might be wanting
Text
to
messages.
post on his Facebook page pictures with his young girlfriend, but she doesn't have to do anything. She just gets paid to hang
That's
out
what
with
I'm
him.
talking about.
Clippers
How do I
owner.
get into that?
Clippers owner. He had a platonic relationship with that woman.
Oh yeah, the lady that ended up being, he's called Magic Johnson, a bad name.
Yeah, the one that got, he lost
Donald
his team.
Sterling.
Yeah, but that was platonic.
Then he got a radio show on WSB on weekends, I believe. Donald Sterling. Oh, no, that's Walt Silver. Walt Silver or whatever. Walt Sterling.
We're going to talk about basketball.
The man who discovered Eric Von Haessler. Can you believe it? All right.
So now we'll move over to Yahoo Lifestyle, where we have the 15 wellness books that will change your body and mind.
Don't
by
need to hear
Sarah-
this one. Don't need to hear this one. The 15 wellness books. First of all, if you at all in your mind have the concept of wellness rattling around, there's almost no hope for you of ever being happy or well. Let me just put this all to rest, okay? This is what I've found. The quest for happiness leads to misery. Every time. I will explain that when we return. All right, you got the listicle is a... Oh, I love this song. You're really doing that. I like this. You're doing well, Alan.
You are my candy girl,
That's music.
and you got me wanting you.
Now you're getting money for sex.
Has anybody Usually they'll take a song like this and then they'll have like a rapper join or something.
Yeah.
It's the same song. They just go one time.
Or they slow it down and make it
Yeah.
all broody.
Sugar.
You are my candy girl.
Oh, God, I can't stand that stuff that
And
goes on.
you've
You know
got
what does that
me
all the time?
wanting you.
That show 911 that I've never watched.
Oh, they slow down all those songs.
All those songs. I feel the earth move. Remember that song you loved because it was bouncy and fun? We're just going to...
End of the world as we know it. And I feel fine.
No, be like, and it's that voice you had.
It's, I'm walking on sunshine.
There you go.
Yeah.
You do end of the world. I feel...
The end of the world?
It's the end of the world.
It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine.
This week on 911. A bunch of crap falls on a bunch of people.
Feel
I wanted to do that to Metallica.
They do it. All the trailers are like that. They're
Yeah.
songs you used to know, and
Yep.
they're just like... All right, I want to know more about this listicle about the self-help wellness books. We don't have time now. But
she's a rich girl. She's gone too far.
we'll be back. But even this is more upbeat. You know, the one you got to find is the remake of Higher Love.
I hate that one the
Because the
most.
song Higher Love, Steve Winwood, is like really bouncy and
Yeah.
bring me a higher. And then they've got the version, bring me a higher. Who heard the bouncy version and said, this is good, but if we could slow it down and suck all the soul out of it, we'd have a really good
As long as you're
song.
not talking about the Kygo Whitney Houston one. That one's amazing.
Whitney Houston, no, I don't stop Whitney. She's dead.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Whitney Houston.
No, but I'm saying Kygo. So Kygo is a DJ, and he made a remix version of Higher Love, and it is amazing. It's out
but it's
right
not. It's not that slow version.
now. No.
Okay, well, then I'm not talking about that. Back down, EDM boy. You don't have to defend the shield every time music comes up. We all know that EDM sucks, but it's fun when you're doing Molly with your friends.
People were
but
writing-
otherwise, it sucks.
People were writing about you in Beatport, and I'm trying to save you.
Are you trying to save me from the EDM
Oh,
crowd?
yeah, you can't lose Beatport.
Yeah.
Beatport is pretty important.
Let me tell you something. I would have no problem defending myself against EDM fans. Okay, you drop your Molly, and then they'll hug you rather than even fight you. You don't even have to fight them. They don't even know how to fight after that. They're just all about love. Hour 2 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. Did you find it? Okay, what's out there somewhere? Because it was in some commercial. Autumn, you can do it. Bring me a higher love. I don't know. I guess millennials like this kind of music.
Do you know for real if they do or
Well,
not?
isn't it like that? Roy, what's his name? Ray LaFontaine kind of started it, right?
No.
Roy Ray, what's his name?
Ray LaFontaine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, trouble.
Who's that woman that had all the facial work done that's supposedly super popular, but I've never heard a song of hers?
I don't know. That's hard to follow. That
No,
one.
but she's the one that supposedly wrote a song about Harvey Weinstein. I can't think of her name right now.
Oh, the one who was dating Elon Musk for a while?
Yeah, that lady.
I can't remember her name.
Well, anyway, she does that.
I think I've got it, guys.
What do you think you've got?
I think I've got the one y'all are talking about. This is from James
What
Vincent.
the hell does this have to do with impeachment?
James Vincent McMorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who could sit in it? Who could sit through this more than once? Do millennials just sit in the dark in the middle of their living room?
Listen, just
Can't believe the world's going to end in 10 years.
just like I said about EDM, it's
Yeah.
like a false excitement,
Yeah.
right? Because it's just a beat that's increasing, and so it's
Yeah.
tricking you into feeling excited and that this is good.
So what's this?
This is also tricking you into thinking that it's meaningful and
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah,
and it makes
yeah.
me feel.
This guy, this is a guy?
Yeah. This is James Vincent McMorrow.
This is falsetto, Eric.
No. Falsetto is Robin Gibb. Barry Gibb. That's falsetto.
Lana Del Rey is who I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. This is the new masculinity that GQ is.
Here's a little song I wrote.
This is. I gotta ask millennial women. This is the man you want. I don't know what I should do.
He's got a little beard and he's
Got you in a stranglehold, baby.
This is the man that millennial women want.
he's relatively
Sensitive.
he's a relatively skinny guy, got a little button down shirt,
No,
a
I'm
little
just talking
beard
about
going.
the attitude.
Not about how he looks,
It's the
Jared.
attitude. This is the male that millennial women. I just want a guy who's as afraid of the world as I am. Oh. Now I can see somebody being in a mood, and they hear this song and they go, "Oh, that's all right." But who can listen to it? Oh, I listen to it all the time. Oh my
Nobody's
God.
downloading this song and listening to it over and over.
Somebody is.
How about Lo Fang, You're the One That I Want? From Grease, same thing.
Really?
That song's all upbeat and fun.
The one that I want.
What is wrong with this generation? What are they so bummed down about?
Here's a little song I wrote. Wanna sing it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy.
It's like, why is everybody so bummed out? Do these kids realize that they live in a time and a place where dentistry has never been better?
'Cause I can't fight this feeling anymore.
Well, that
No, you gotta slow. That was a slow. So you gotta slow it down more than that.
I've forgotten what I've started fighting for.
This week on 9/11, 911, a bunch of stuff falls on a bunch of people, and your favorite actors respond.
You make me so very happy.
You know what? Have you ever seen these commercials?
I'm so glad you came into my life.
As anybody here, I don't see
day.
I don't see shows on TV. It's just during football season that I see commercials for shows. And so the 911 thing, every week, I've never seen this show, but if you just look at the commercials, every week you would think, well, that must be their last episode because there can't be a city left after
A
this.
very special fill in the blank show.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 1 week on 911, there's an earthquake that splits Wilshire Boulevard right down the middle.
Yeah,
And
someone
the-
call 911. It's an earthquake.
and the ladies singing that one. I feel the earth move under. And then the next year, this year, there's a tidal wave that takes over.
Oh no, a tidal wave's coming. Someone call 911.
It's a Santa Monica Pier, and they show everybody in Los Angeles underwater, including the first responders. So, well, this must be the last show.
In an octopus's garden in the shade.
All right, did we ever get back to that? We're supposed to take care of
the reason why you're so
Imagine
angry.
me and you.
The reason why the reason why you guys
All
are
right.
so
I can't stop.
the reason why you guys are so angry is because you haven't read the 15 wellness
Right.
books that will change your body and mind.
So I wanted to tell people, this was from our listicle thing from a long time ago, but the Von Haessler Doctrine here is to help you with your life. And I'm going to tell you something from experience, personal experience. I know this, and intellectually I know it as well. If you're chronically unhappy and you're constantly at the bookstore buying books or going online and finding gurus that tell you how to be happy, I'm going to tell you something you may not know. It is, in fact, the search for happiness is what guarantees misery. Because the truth is, nothing in these books is ever really going to work over the long haul. That's work you have to do on yourself. You can't read a book and find happiness because happiness is nowhere to be found. This idea that, well, I'll get all my ducks in a row and next Wednesday at 2, I'm going to be happy. But next Wednesday at 1, after you get all your ducks in a row, the phone might ring and one of your best friends has been diagnosed with something horrible. That's the way life works. Happiness is not something that happens after you put all the X, Y's, and Z's together. Happiness is not to be found. Happiness is to be acknowledged and accepted. It's around you. It's about you. Are you willing to acknowledge the happiness and let it in? Because if you're waiting for a perfect life before you can acknowledge happiness, you will never be happy. I said this before, I would love to put a security camera over the self-help section of, which one's still around, Borders or Barnes & Noble?
You see a couple.
Barnes & Noble.
I don't know, because I helped put the other one out of business by getting all my books online. But Barnes & Noble is still around. I think people like to go there, buy coffee, and be seen. I don't know how much they actually buy. But I would love to have a security cam in the self-help section for, say, 3 months. I guarantee you will see the same people every 4 to 5 weeks walking into that section getting a new book because it's a sugar high. You read a book, it makes sense, you change your life and do the things, but then about 14 days later, there's still something that's bothering you. And that's you. That's the work that you have to do, first of all, to recognize there's no such thing as a perfect life. The grass is not always greener on the other side. You got to take lemons and make lemonade. Or as they say, take a chicken S and make chicken salad. Once you recognize that life is full of beauty and tragedy, and you're going to get a whole lot of both, but tragedy finds you. You have to actually look for the beauty and let it into your life. No book and how to turn things around. It may help you get your paperwork in order. It may help you become more efficient, but it's not going to help you find happiness. Happiness is available. You have to avail yourself to it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Drive carefully and don't hurt one another.
So you wouldn't read this book by Barbara Ann
Yeah, give me some of the
Kipper?
stupid titles.
This is called Self-Meditation, 3,299 tips, quotes, reminders, and wake-up calls for peace and serenity.
Okay, right there. I'm looking for peace and serenity, and you're throwing 3,900 things at me
I know,
that
that
I
just
have
gives
to
me
memorize.
anxiety
Yeah,
that there's that many that I
that's
need to
right.
get through.
And then what happens? You get on this treadmill, and after 3 books, you're like, wow, I really must be a piece of you-know-what, because these books aren't helping me. I went through all 3,900 and 527,000, and I'm still unhappy.
Well, what about this?
I must be a real you-know-what up.
Well, what about this one, guys?
Yeah.
Crystals, the modern guide to crystal healing.
Crystals have never healed anyone of anything ever. Well,
because you have to charge them in the full moon. It's a real
it's real
pain
hard. It's
to-
tough. Stressful.
Yeah.
Stressful. Listen, come out of the Dark Ages, people. Crystals are rocks. That they have no more healing power than any other rock you can find.
I got a stone I found out in a creek bed.
Well, it's as good as
I
any
keep
crystal.
it in my pocket. It's my lucky stone.
Just because this rock is somewhat translucent and pretty doesn't mean that it has any sort of healing powers.
It's my urinary tract stone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I keep that in my pocket. It heals me up.
Keep it right down there in my undies. That's what my tiny undies.
All right, so you're not feeling the crystals. So
I'm
what,
not feeling the crystals.
what about this one? The Spirit Almanac. A modern guide to ancient self-care.
Oh, this one
This
I
is
love.
unbelievable.
Oh, the ancient people. You know, the ones who couldn't figure out how to put shelter over their head and keep from freezing to death in the winter.
But they were more
Okay,
connected to the earth.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what they got down. Inner healing. They didn't get down the part about how to manufacture shoes to put on your feet so your toes wouldn't freeze in the winter. But when it comes to inner harmony, boy, they had that down flat. You need to go. I'm not going to the ancients for advice about anything because they didn't invent a cell phone. We know more. I don't know what's going on in this world. Well, this is all right because this guy. I don't think people
It's
are getting.
fast.
I think people aren't getting my point. here.
Right.
I think Jared thinks I don't like any remake.
No. I'm just trying to say this was a good one. It's a great song. I'm obsessed with this song now.
You're obsessed.
Obsessed, yes.
Well, your musical taste is so bad that this would be like the Beatles in your head.
The original one's much better with, the dude in Shaka Khan.
Well, I'm not saying the original one's bad. I just think
Who
this is
did the original one?
This is a very good
Who did
remake.
the original?
Well, it's got to be Whitney.
No. Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Little guy named Steve Winwood from Traffic
Yeah,
and the Spencer Davis Group.
of course you're big on those.
Yeah.
Those guys.
He's more
Always.
Spencer Davis than Traffic.
I
Blind Faith.
I was watching Blind Faith. I was watching that Blind Faith album. Boy, I wouldn't have that in my record collection these days. So I'm watching TV here during the commercials, and I came up with this, it's not a theory, it's just a thought. But you know how they say that like a redneck with with one of those big trucks with the big tires, big monster trucks. They make them stuff, and people make fun of them. They go, the bigger the tires, the smaller. What are they compensating for? And I'm starting to think the same thing about the new masculinity, and like so to me, I'm starting to think the same thing about guys who like they have a beard and they have eyeliner and they have the whole, like, the more fabulous they are, I'm starting to think, and then they're, I'm all about the new masculinity or whatever. I'm, in a weird way, I'm starting to think the same thing that they used to say about rednecks with trucks with big tires. It's like, what are you compensating for? On the outside, you got a grand thing going here. What are you covering up for? Takes a big truck to carry a big gun, says Alan Hunt. I don't know what that means. I just repeat what he says in my ear. But I really think it's like, if it's true that the redneck with the big tires is compensating for something, what's the overly, wildly, fabulously, wonderful, extroverted? What are you covering up for? What are you compensating for? Tell you, it's the new masculinity is producing the new redneck, and the new redneck has a beard and eyeliner. This is the world that Autumn has prayed for her entire life. It's finally arrived.
Yeah.
Now they're cooking on Fox 5. What's the matter? They don't have a test pattern available? They can just throw up? That's what, to me, that's the laziest thing on TV. Yeah, cook something. That'll take some time.
And that guy with the hipster bib overalls.
This is how we do it in Midtowns. And
We're going to make a sexy salad.
Yeah, my artisanal food truck.
She can't even see it, and they are making a salad.
Yes, of course they are. It's like this. Hey, we got 15 minutes to fill. Bring it a cook. We go through the whole ingredients thing.
I hand pressed this olive oil.
Oh, yeah. No, again, Autumn, right. Ravioli, olive oil.
Yes. Yeah, really. You know it all. You don't even have to see it. That's what I mean. Why not just throw up a test pattern? Basically, you're just filling air time anyway. All right, before we get to Outrage Corner, we did get open mics, and one gentleman had something to say, so much so that he ended up calling back. So we have two from the same guy, so let's get to this wisdom.
Hey, Eric JB here. That taking Halloween here. What's this place coming to? Man, can't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Can't do, but then he called back.
Hey, Eric JB here again. You're right. Everything is outrageous. Can't say nothing. Darn.
I'll tell you what we can say. It's outrageous, but we can say it's time for this.
Outrage Corner. That's outrageous. With English names.
See, that's what I call a seg. I have to think about my program. I don't just bring a guy in to cook for 15 minutes.
I want JB. That's JB's little open mic. There should be the intro to Outrage for the rest of time.
Gosh darn.
Play that again.
Hey, Eric JB here again. You're right. Everything is outrageous. Can't say nothing.
Perfect.
Darn.
Yeah, start it with, everything's outrageous. Can't say nothing.
Mr. Von Haessler, I have here a guaranteed genuine tennis ball from New York City.
Mr. Haney. What are you laughing for? You never heard of Green Acres. You have no idea about that.
I have heard of Green Acres.
Mr. Haney is.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm so sick and tired of him laughing at things he has no idea about.
Everything is outrageous. Can't say nothing.
Darn.
Darn.
All right, Mr. Outrage.
Well,
Give us the outrage.
Alec Baldwin is saying something. He's saying
Is he outraging people?
He says always. He says he doesn't think the parents involved in college admissions scandal should go to prison.
You know what? I agree with him. I think that this...
Yeah.
Ooh, da.
Oh,
I got it for you. Don't worry, you don't have to play it. It's past.
Did the moment pass?
Yes.
No,
and
it
then
didn't.
you turned it up.
Surely
and
it didn't.
gone.
You agree with him?
Oh, you talked over it now.
See, it's no good.
Is it too late?
It's too late.
Am I too late?
Move on.
Oh,
They all talk over the Speaker of the House anyway.
I do.
All right.
I do.
I think it is absurd that these actresses are going to jail. What did Felicity Huffman got sentenced to 14 days?
Well, they're making a statement. They're saying you can't do this, right? It's just
Okay, you can't.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
This is the same time. These are privileged people and blah blah blah, and they paid money to have tests falsified and lied that the kids were athletes and things they couldn't do in order to get them into colleges. The USC and some others. I mean, there's a lot of people at USC. It's not that difficult to get in. I mean, you got to be a halfway decent student. But anyway, It's Felicity, at the same time that everybody's so outraged about these privileged people, we're being told that we're just about to let all kinds of people out of prison who actually did things that now we don't think are, it's fine. I think if you smoked a joint and you went to prison, I don't know how many people are actually in prison because they smoked a joint. They may have broken somebody over the head with
Maybe
something
it was something
while
connected.
they were smoking a joint. I have no idea.
Connected
but if
to the
there is
marijuana.
truly anybody who's sitting in prison just because they were caught doing drugs, I think they should not be in prison. But I got a feeling as we do this mass exodus from prison that Republicans and Democrats are all behind. Some bad eggs are going to get
Some
out.
bad apples.
In the meantime, right? Some bad hombres, right? I think.
Bad hombres.
At the same time, everybody's like, no, that actress from Fuller House, she needs to be in prison.
The Desperate House. What was the Housewives show?
Well,
she used to
Felicity
be on?
Huffman is Desperate Housewives,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
But the other one that could do 4 months or so, or even more, is the lady from Full House.
Now, is it still the case? You made a point that you didn't feel like she should be getting harsher treatment because she's not cooperating.
Yeah, right. I don't like that thing about law.
Is that still happening?
Yeah, that's still happening. Basically, other people are the one who's Felicity Huffman's getting 13 days because they basically cooperated from the first part.
Right.
The lady from Full House, she's fighting it, and the way that is if you make prosecutors actually do their jobs, then if they win, you go to jail long. I don't like that. The idea that hey, the fact that you actually
'Cause we
stand up
already
and
know
say,
you're
prove
guilty.
it. Yeah, prove that I'm guilty. That's your job. And but beyond that, who is being protected in society? These are dumb people, okay? Because the way, some of these, I think the other one $500,000 to get 2 kids into school. All right, well, here's how this works. You're really dumb, okay? Because what you do is you fund a new extension to the library and you gift $500,000 to USC.
Yeah.
And nobody has to say anything.
That's what Dr. Dre did.
A year later, you submit your kids to see if they can get into your college, and it's pointed out by somebody, their parents gave $500. There's plenty of kids who go to college simply based on the fact that
Donation.
somebody
Yes.
is donating to the school.
Absolutely.
So more than anything, these people are being idiots. If you're going to invest $500,000, at least add an extension to their library. Somebody might get something out of it, and your kids will get in.
New toilet or something.
But the idea that we're going to, at the same time that the Kardashians and Trump and all the Democrats are saying, yes, fling open wide the jail cells and let everybody out, we're also very insistent that lady from Full House, she needs to go to jail for like 2 years so people can be protected from her crimes. It's an absurdity. They should be fined a large amount of money. They should have to pay in the way that would really hurt somebody who's really rich, which is, your community services, you got to give $1 million to this charity. You know what I mean?
Right.
Something like that.
You have to interact with poor people.
That's right. That's your. But I
I'll go to
agree with
jail.
Alec Baldwin. At the same time, we're saying there's a lot of people in jail who should be let out. They probably are more of them are an actual danger to society.
Yeah, a risk, yeah.
Than the lady from. And then the other thing is like a 14-day sentence. What the hell is
It's a
that?
slap on the wrist, isn't it?
Well, it's a ridiculous slap on the. 4 months is a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
14 days is, well, we did a lot of work here.
Yeah.
Yeah, go do some time.
Some people spend 14 days just because they're arrested, like on a Friday,
And they can't-
it's a
and they
long
can't get a lawyer or
weekend,
something.
Yeah,
and
then it's
Yeah.
Christmas. And
Right.
That's New Year's.
Easter.
Whoops.
Yeah, well, the lawyer comes in on the 15th every month.
Exactly.
Look out, it's Memorial Day.
Sitting there.
There's already a Lifetime movie about this.
Of course
There is.
It's going to be great. There'll be more than that. There'll be a big-time Hollywood
Books, everything.
feature film. So I'm with you. People can be outraged that I agree with Alec Baldwin that putting these people in prison is absurd.
Doesn't solve anything.
It's absurd. It's just absurd. You know what it is? They're rich and we can hurt them. It has nothing to do with being rich. People who aren't rich cut corners to try to get their kids into better schools.
Every day.
And it happens with the charter schools. People are doing all kinds of things. It's just not this level. You might be doing something in the bleachers with somebody from the Board of Education. But
He was in Forrest Gump.
Yeah, exactly. It's an exchange of goods for services.
Indeed.
Services for goods, however you put it. All right, next outrage.
LeBron James is sparking outrage with those Hong Kong protesters because he said some stuff that appeared to side with China.
Well, he did.
They're burning his jerseys in the street.
This is really the situation that LeBron James has gotten himself into it's really something, because you remember Laura Ingraham. It was a big deal on Fox News when he spoke up about some perceived injustice in America. I can't remember which one. And she said, shut up and dribble. Or maybe it was when he was going back and forth with the White House. He has let the world know he does not like the President of the United States. Now, some people get mad at that. I disagree with Laura Ingraham. This is America. I don't know where the two sides got into telling each other to shut up. I want to hear opinions that I don't agree with. That's part of being in America. So I never agreed with Laura Ingraham when she said, shut up and dribble. But basically, Xi Jinping has said to LeBron James, shut up and dribble.
And he's dribbling.
He ain't said a word, and I can hear that ball banging off the basketball floor. Also, he has gone, without a doubt, on Twitter and basically gone back and forth with Trump on social media and basically said, I don't like you, you are terrible, you're awful. But silence on the president of China, Xi Jinping. That silence has to inform us that not only does he think Trump is bad, he thinks the leader of China, Xi Jinping, is good. Because we know that when LeBron thinks a leader is bad, he's not shy about letting us know. Also, LeBron said some things like, I don't think Daryl Morey, this GM of the Houston Rockets, who retweeted in support of the people in Hong Kong, I don't think that he was really was up on all the issues.
He said he was misinformed, yeah.
As an American, all right, there's something wrong with this country. Every American, no matter how they vote, just because they live in a country where they're allowed to say you live in a country where you can call the president names in public. You can call him an orange this and that, and make fun of his hair, and you can do it in public, and you have, now some people might not buy tickets to your next show. There are ramifications like that, but you never, Barbara Streisand never thinks, oh my God, they might come and arrest me and put me in jail. But if LeBron James in China had said about, let's even not make him American. If LeBron James was Chinese and was famous in China and said about Xi Jinping what he said about Trump, you would never have heard of him again. He wouldn't just have gone to prison. You would never have heard of him again. And that is why it should never be controversial or scandalous for any American to say, I'm on the side of people who are fighting for their freedom. You don't have to be an expert as an American to say, I'm on the side. And when you think of all the money the Chinese told him to shut up and dribble, Laura Ingraham wasn't giving LeBron James any money. LeBron James makes a bunch of money out of Nike. Nike makes a bunch of money in China. LeBron James makes a lot of money out of the NBA. The NBA makes a lot of money in China. But that's not all. What people aren't looking at is LeBron has another reason to stay silent, which is trumping both of those things. You know what that is? Does anybody remember in the back of their head what LeBron James has coming up outside of basketball? Anybody remember? It's a remake.
His movie.
The first one was Michael Jordan.
Space Jam.
Space Jam 2. When you make big Hollywood movies, China is usually up for 35 to 40% of the financing, and you make sure that there's no offense, no Taiwanese flags, things like that. So when LeBron isn't speaking now for the oppressed in Hong Kong, remember why he's shutting up and dribbling. Because not only does he have the shoes and the association, he's got Space Jam 2 coming out. And if China says it's not going to play here, it's not going to make any money.
The Von Haessler Doctrine.
I just love tuning in because it feels like I'm listening to friends in a conversation.
9 till noon on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
What's the latest quote you have from LeBron there, Tim Andrews? At the LeBron desk.
Well, LeBron James was talking about players who speak out on political issues, and he called it a tough situation. He won't talk about it anymore.
This is Hong Kong. He's not going to talk about it anymore.
And the quote is, I think when the issue comes up, if you feel passionate about it or you don't feel...
That was one about politics, how he wasn't going to talk
politics.
politics.
Yeah. That's the beginning of it. But then he goes...
I want the politics part.
He says, I'd be cheating my teammates by continuing to harp on something that won't benefit us trying to win a championship because that's what we're here for. We're not politicians.
Right. So he's done talking politics.
Right.
Which is fine. But I'd like to remind LeBron James, what I would like to remind LeBron James is that when you go on social media and exercise your rights as an American and say that the president of the United States is a terrible person, that's politics too. So the only thing is, Donald Trump isn't giving you any money, and China is giving you money. So again, when Xi Jinping said, shut up and dribble, what you just heard there, that's LeBron shutting up and starting to dribble. It was terrible when Laura Ingraham told him to, but Laura Ingraham didn't give him any money. So you can buy LeBron's silence on social oppression. And we have, what do we have over here?
This is an angry Warriors fan. They suspect that it's because of the China situation.
All right, well, let's hold on. I got the music going. Thank you, English Nick.
Thank you.
We come back. Somebody yelled at LeBron as he was leaving a preseason game.
You don't want to miss it.
Oh, what a great tease. Hour 3 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. And it's going to begin with some admonishment and hopefully a quick apology from Tim Andrews. We went to the break, and I said that people are yelling at LeBron, and somebody yelled at LeBron after this Hong Kong thing. And when we come back, we'll play it. Well, then we looked into it. The guy who flies the spaceship, Alan Hunt, he said, I think that might be an old video.
It's fake news.
Yeah. And then we looked into it. So Tim Andrews sent this out. So can you check this out? People are yelling at LeBron. And somebody didn't notice the fact that LeBron's wearing a Cavs jersey in this thing.
That would be me. You
didn't realize that he no longer plays. But
well, he played so a few games as a Laker. I'm with Tim.
So
we barely saw it.
Would you like to apologize to me?
I apologize.
The other Doctrinaires.
Everyone except Autumn.
All right, I'll take that. And the audience, of course, who were led to believe that they were going to get something that just doesn't exist.
Yes.
Yes, what?
I apologize to the audience.
Very good. But all that being said, I still want to play it because there's a part of it that I want to I want to become a part of the show. So it is bleeped. Yes, Alan, it's bleeped. What do you think? I am a fool? Just because nobody noticed that he was wearing a Cleveland jersey doesn't mean. All right. So go ahead. I find this to be very funny. So she's wearing a Warriors jersey, and this is old. And she's yelling at him as they must have lost the game. What's it feel like to be a bleep, you know?
Hey, watch your mouth, woman!
I like that guy.
Watch your mouth, woman!
I like that guy.
Hey, watch your mouth, woman!
So I want to use this anytime Autumn gets on my nerves. So let's test it out.
Come on, I thought we said we weren't going to do this anymore.
No, come on, this is too good.
Hey, watch your mouth, woman!
It needs to be the second one, though. Watch your mouth, woman.
I like hey, though.
Hey, watch your mouth, woman!
All right, so let's just test this out. You say something to me like, Eric, I think I should be treated equally amongst the
Eric, I feel like I'm making just as good a point as Tim or Jared, and I think that my point needs to have the space to be heard.
Hey, watch your mouth, woman!
Oh, you're right. I'm out of line.
I'm sorry. Comedy has to trump dignity or morality on this show. So yeah, I just want you to say, Eric, I think I should be treated equally.
Eric, I just think I need to be treated equally.
Hey, watch your mouth, woman!
See,
he makes a good point.
Yeah, just see what happens there. Let's do this.
More headlines for Thursday, October 17th.
Hey, I'm in the mood for more headlines. Yeah, I'm just in that kind of mood. Hey, whoa.
Hey, watch your mouth, woman!
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I have to learn. There's going to be a learning curve.
I learned from GQ. I'm being inspired. Not only are we having a new masculinity, I'm inventing a new misogyny.
Hey, watch your mouth, woman!
It's a kinder, gentler misogyny. What do you think, Autumn? You like it?
I think it's a little troubling.
Hey, watch your mouth, woman!
I'm sorry. That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Great idea.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next issue of GQ, the new misogyny. All right, go ahead.
President Trump and the Democrats clashed after the House passed a resolution opposing the United States withdrawal in Syria.
Now, what happened here was Trump got mad because they got a lot of Republicans. They passed this, basically Republicans and Democrats in the House saying it was wrong to pull out of Syria. So then they get together for a meeting, I guess, to talk about Syria, not impeachment. My guess is President Trump a little hot under the collar over impeachment.
When are you going to drop this impeachment crap?
They say that impeachment did not come up. However, he did refer to Nancy Pelosi as a third-rate politician,
according to Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, and everybody says it happened. Everybody's admitting. At first, she thought he said third-grade politician, and then the Democrats said no. And then the Republicans said no. He said third-rate politician. So this is, and then this annoys me is this picture now that's iconic, where she's standing at the table, all the guys are seated, and the long table, conference table, and halfway through, she's right across from Trump, and she's standing up, pointing her finger, and he's sitting down. He released the picture first and said, look at Nancy Pelosi's meltdown. And then she made it her Facebook image and said, because it looks like I'm a strong woman, putting him in his place. Meanwhile, again, a pox on all your houses. People on the ground are fighting and dying. This is real stuff. This is the reason we have politicians and administrations and Congresses and sovereignty in a country. This is real. I think it is absolutely sickening that a meeting, first of all, is used. Everything is kabuki theater. You know, we're going to go there. We'll walk out. Remember, Trump used to walk out of these meetings. Wow, now we walk out of these meetings. And then he gets snarky. President Jon Stewart, who's going to treat the world as something that can be solved with snarky humor. Kurds are dying on the ground. However you feel about that. If you feel it was the right thing to do, and you think the walking away from people who helped you fight, fine. I'm not going to argue that. But an eye roll is not an opinion. And snarky comments, this is so much bread and circuses that we should be full and tired of entertainment at this point. That meeting was about something serious. You know, there's in the Wall Street Journal today, this is the guy from the Syrian Kurdish forces, the commander-in-chief. This is their perspective, okay, of what happened. And I know it's endless wars. I want to be out of endless wars too. I can't believe Eric wants to stay in Kurdana, Syrianistan for the next 100 years. Yeah, don't recall saying that. This is what the commander-in-chief, the guy, they've lost 11,000 people helping us push back ISIS. At Washington's request, we agreed to withdraw our heavy weapons from the border area with Turkey. We destroyed our defensive fortifications and pulled back our most seasoned fighters. Washington was saying, we're working with Turkey, we're working out a deal, but we need you to do these things. Withdraw your heavy weapons from the border area, destroy your defensive fortifications, and get your best fighters out of that region before we can get done with this deal with Turkey so you can be protected and they can feel safe. We knew Turkey would never attack us so long as the U.S. government was true to its words with us. We are now standing with our chest bare to the face the Turkish knives. You can hold two things in your brain at the same time. You have the ability. You can say that America should not be in endless wars. And you can say, this was the wrong way to do it. Because that's where I stand. I'm not so much smarter than anybody listening to me. I happen to know it's okay to hold both of those opinions. If I think we should get out of endless wars, I'm not saying I don't care how we do that. I'm saying I want policies that don't get us involved in the first place and in a proper fashion get us out of the places we shouldn't be now, if that's the way the electorate feels about it. So this little show that we got today of the president being snarky, look at her with her meltdown, and Pelosi with her, oh, you know what really works good now? I'm going to stand up. I'm a woman. I got a dress on. I'm empowered. So now the snarky comment fights the empowered woman imagery on social media. And that's where we are. And I say to hell with both sides. I've said this before. What we need, and which we may never get again. What we need, we may never get again. What we need is boring governance. Let me use a sports analogy here. All right, don't laugh your butts off, but I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. Okay? An organization that has been horribly run, you could say governed. Big names. I were bringing T.O. for a while. You know, we got big splashy things, a lot of drama queens. Very exciting and interesting to watch if you weren't watching on Sunday because the product was terrible. But man, there was, oh, here comes Rex Ryan and he's nothing happening on the field. Now, the Buffalo Bills are 4-1. Nobody noticed they got their front office in line. And do you know, as a fan, now this is football, and they could end up only winning 4 games. You know how it is. But as a fan, the reason that I know that it's actually good is because everyone from that team, from top to bottom, who speaks to the media, is as boring as hell. Nothing interesting. Look at the Patriots. Belichick barely says a word. In terms of football, who do you think, which franchise do you think is run better? The Patriots or the Raiders? One is boring as hell, but great if you're a fan on Sunday. The other is a nonstop blast of new news and things and stuff, and not so much on Sunday, although they're turning it around a bit. Take that and apply it to your government. Listen, people, you have plenty of reality shows, singers in masks, people saying they'll get married if you pick somebody for them. You have plenty of entertainment. You need to start getting pissed off when you see it coming from your government all the time. I expect my government, the people that I elect and the people that I didn't support, to get together and solve problems in a realistic fashion. Not put on a show meeting where one side, the president can roll his eyes and be snarky and, hey, look at that. And the other side could say, look at me, I'm an empowered woman and I walked out. What the hell does that have to do with Syria? That's what you need to be asking yourself. Because in the end, it's not Trump's fault, and it's not Pelosi's fault, and it's not Schumer's fault. It is your fault. Why do you keep buying tickets to this show? Because I've been there as a Bills fan. The show is wildly interesting until Sunday, when you get your ass handed to you. Actually, I read here we don't have to worry about Trump. Everything's under control because he sent the leader of Turkey, Erdogan, a letter. And he said, don't be a tough guy. Don't be a fool.
Don't be a tough guy. Don't be a fool. Come on, straighten up. I don't want to have to meet you behind the convenience store at 3.
You got tougher than this. Don't be a fool. Don't be a tough guy.
I said, look, Mr. Turkey, I've pardoned the turkey every year, but I don't know if I'll be able to pardon you.
If you look at the Kurds, and again, I say this with great respect, they're no angels.
Yeah, well, we knew what they were before we cozied up with them. No, we didn't. I'm not arguing that we were supposed to stay in Syria forever. What I'm arguing is you don't wake up, a week and a half ago, tweet something and decide we're out. If you want to get out of endless wars, it's more than just saying we're out. There has to be some thought. There has to be some policy. We have to understand what's going on. You read a lot of even the kind of conservative opinions on this. An awful lot of our guys over there and gals, Marines, they're feeling personally ashamed. They're having to abandon people that they know and know that they're going to get slaughtered. There's we are now doing airstrikes against our own bases that we had there as we leave so that we can destroy everything that's there so that Russia can't get it when they get there. Does that sound like it's being done properly to you? It doesn't sound like it's being... Let's get out of endless wars, but let's do it with a little bit of thought. Am I asking too much? We're having fun today, so I'm not going to dwell on it. We usually do lighter stuff in the last half hour. But if this new piece of information in our withdrawal in Syria, I think adds a little element here. The information that we now know that behind the scenes, our diplomats convinced the Kurds in the name of an overriding deal, right, that would make Turkey feel safe and the Kurds, and that we're doing a big deal. Okay. And we went to the Kurds and we said, basically, we need you to disarm at the border. And they did. They got rid of their heavy artillery. They moved back. They got rid of they got rid of most of their armaments, got them out of that area. So they agreed to do that because we said, hey, we're working on a deal with Turkey. We can't get them to the table if they think that you guys are at their border with a military buildup. You need to, and they agreed. And then after they disarmed on the border, the president woke up, put out a tweet, and we left. I mean, that adds a little bit to it. I understand we don't want to be in endless wars, and I hear everybody, I can't believe you want to. Surely there are no conservatives, people who call themselves Republicans, who usually understand things like this, who believe that that's perfectly okay. No matter if the Kurds are angels or not angels, or whether they represent a real threat, that's not our fight. I understand that. But surely no one listening to me right now believes it was okay for the United States to convince these people who've lost 11,000 soldiers fighting with us to beat back ISIS and be victorious. Nobody can be on board with the idea that we got them to agree to essentially disarm, and then we bugged out. And within 24 hours, it was on from Turkey. He didn't wait. Really? We're going to leave. By the way, before we leave, you disarm. We're going to leave. You stay there. And then no one listening to me can think that was the way, that was the proper way to deal with, whether you like them or not, whether they're angels or not, they were allies. And my understanding is there's a lot of people over there, our fighting forces, who personally feel ashamed of this. They know those people they're leaving behind. They've been fighting with them for a good long time. And they did a lot of the fighting. Most of the fighting. We did the guidance and the air cover and the reconnaissance and the info, the data, making sure that when we put them into place, they had the best chance to win. But they went down there and did an awful lot of that fighting. Now, that's one thing. You could be listening and be a fan of this president and say, I'm tired of endless wars. But surely no one thinks it was a good idea for the United States to convince these people to basically disarm and then bug out and leave them there to be slaughtered. No, come on. I'm not interested.
How did they not know Turkey was just going to waltz right in?
Well, it's because what happened was...
I mean, they had to have been aware.
No, you're not following this. There are always two arms of this country right now. There's the administration, the people who are trying to make deals like this behind the scenes, and then there's the whims of the president. So the people that were trying to work out a real deal with Turkey and were talking to the Kurds and getting the Kurds to basically disarm on the border believed that their president was behind them in their efforts. But he woke up one day and said, I don't want to be in this anymore, tweeted about it, called the president of Turkey, had a phone call with the president of Turkey. I don't know what was said in that phone call, and I don't want to see the transcript. But the phones got hung up, and shortly thereafter, the Kurds were hung out to dry. I don't know what happened. Now we've got Pence and Pompeo over there. They're going to be humiliated. We all thought it was really humanitarian when we saw that the president didn't bomb any facilities in Iran after they brought down the drone. But for Iran, all they saw was, this guy doesn't want to fight. We're in America. We understand here. The president came out. He said, 100 people. I'm going to kill 100 people because they got rid of an inanimate object. And a lot of us were like, well, you know what? Maybe that's the new world. Maybe we're able. But Iran only saw somebody who's hesitant to fight. The president said yesterday, do we have the thing where he's saying, I'm not going to send thousands of troops and to, it's the other one where he's talking about, I think you played it for me earlier.
I think it's right here.
You know what's happened? No American soldiers have been killed. That's what's happened.
It was more than that. He said, I'm not going to send thousands of people to be killed over a fight that, well, whatever. And that's perfectly fine to have that point of view and not want our soldiers to be in places like this. But you have to figure out how to leave properly. And if you have people who are working with the Kurds and working with the Turks, you let that play out. You certainly don't get one side to disarm and then walk away. I can't believe we don't have that. I swear to God, you played the longer cut for me.
Perhaps it was yesterday. I'll look it up during the break.
All right. I'm kind of tired of talking about it, so let's do this.
It's the stories we just couldn't miss. It's the Doctrine Extra.
There is a thing called honor, people. And I just don't believe you. So forget with the open mics, with all the Trumpers. Remember when Bob Dylan, somebody yelled at him, Judas?
I don't believe you.
That's me. Bob Dylan left the Fokies and got electric, and then somebody yelled at him, Judas! He said, I don't believe you. You know what Dylan was saying then? This is songs. It's music. I don't believe your outrage. I don't believe that this has got you that upset. You're making it up. So to all the open micers, I can't believe Eric Von Haessler wants to stay in everything. I didn't say that. It's not my fault that you can't hear. I know how to speak. It's not my fault that you don't know how to hear. I don't believe you. The listeners of WSB, when you find out that we convinced the Kurds to disarm and then walked away from them, and you're going to call in with the open mic and Eric Von Haessler, and you don't think we should stay there I don't believe you. I don't believe that you believe that was the right thing to do. Therefore, I'm not interested in your vitriol. You're making it up. You're overdoing it. There's an election next year. Vote for whoever you want. I have nothing to say about that, and I don't care. I honestly don't care. But if you're going to call in and tell me that you're a lifelong Republican and you think this was the proper way to leave, let me quote Dylan again. I don't believe you. All right, go ahead.
Now, President Trump did meet with the Italian president yesterday. There were some funny moments that came out of that.
Yeah, people were saying that the translator was like freaking out, like her face was freaking out over things that Trump was saying before she would translate it. I didn't see it, but so it's kind of a visual thing. But do we have any of her translate?
Well, so I guess one of the better moments, because obviously it's a visual thing. You see her doing her
thing. Like she'd be listening to Trump, and then her eyes would get real big, and her face would get contorted, like, huh?
As if she was having trouble translating what he's having to say.
Maybe it's just the way that she is, and we don't know who she is, and she acts like that everywhere. I don't know.
But one of the best moments that came out of yesterday was Mario Andretti, the Indy driver.
Yes,
came and he said that
he's a very successful Italian American. He was a refugee. He and his brother were brought over here, and he became wildly famous and successful. And did you have a piece of audio?
I do have a piece of audio from him.
I'm an Italian immigrant, very, very, as you can imagine, proud of my heritage. But I also found we, as a family, we found our home here in America. And I'm the true, I think, example of what the American dream is about.
And Trump's response to this is pretty great. But we'll have to wait to the other side to hear it.
Okay. So, yes, it was a celebration of Italian Americans because the Italian president was in D.C. Is it prime minister or president? President. And Mario Andretti was there. And Mario Andretti, he and his brother were brought here, I think, after World War II. And they were refugees, I believe. And then, he grew in the stature, great motors. In the world of motorsports, there's often a question, who is the best American driver ever? And there's two answers, kind of. Mario Andretti and A.J. Foyt. But A.J. Foyt is the best driver who was ever born in America, but Mario Andretti is an American and is considered one of the best drivers of all time. So it's kind of a two thing, but he is an American. He's an Italian American. And after he spoke, then Trump spoke.
I had the privilege of being driven by him one day we were doing a show along Central Park West. He took off in a car 4 blocks. We covered the 4 blocks in about 1 second. And I said, get me out of here.
Get me out of here.
Yeah. You know what it is? We remember. Do you have that from the old days?
Oh, yeah.
I think I know why it is. It's because you don't like cars.
I hate cars. I don't like being in them.
I love cranes. I love trucks of all types. Even when I was a little boy at 4 years old, my mother would say, "You love trucks." I do. I love trucks of all types. I do. I do.
I do.
I love trucks of all types. I do.
So you just don't like
that
cars.
Little boy voice.
I
He
like
really does do that.
Little bitty trucks that I can ride in and get in the back. I do.
Do you?
I do.
The pickup truck. Give me an El Camino.
I do.
That's a car and a truck. They had a baby. They call it an El Camino.
Do you take Melania to be your lawfully wedded wife?
I do.
I do.
Sometimes, you might become president, but nothing changes. I still love trucks.
Trucks.
So it wasn't the speed.
No, it's
It was
just the
just
trucks.
You're not into cars.
I like trucks.
Okay, I get it.
I do. I love trucks of all types. I do.
I'm looking at this thing here. We started off talking about that Hannah Gadsby. This is the whole. I'm fascinated with this GQ, the new masculinity. Hannah Gadsby is this woman. I've never seen her act. I can't imagine that she's funny. She's a SJW comedian, right?
Yeah, I tried to watch it and
She's
I couldn't finish it.
But the thing is, when you look at her picture, I can't imagine her being funny because she's so stern looking in the picture. These SJW. Have you noticed these SJW types? They're always so into their fierce, intense publicity photos. You know, I'm legitimate. I'm something to be dealt with now. Hey, don't let the pink boa fool you. Okay, I come with some gravitas. Look at my face. I'm not smiling, and I'm a comedian.
Take that, patriarchy.
There's this thing, Hannah Gadsby, on why men should be more ladylike. But if you look at the picture, she's very man. I mean, she's dressed like a dude.
Right.
So why should men become more ladylike? She's becoming more manlike.
I think what she means is that men need to get in touch with themselves a little bit more and understand the struggles that it takes for a woman these days, especially a gay woman who's a comedian who hates men.
Hey, watch your mouth, woman.
I'm gonna read this last paragraph here because if you want to really, I've said that we live in the era of sociology. All of this stuff that we're dealing with, 8,000 labels for every behavior and whatever, it all comes from the sociology departments of our college campuses. And the condescending, the idea is, Eric, it's possible because you're not as smart as me that you don't know you're a racist. You need Professor Sociology because I'm smarter than you. I can identify your racism even though you aren't aware of it. So it's that condescending kind of point of view.
Let me pull you aside, Eric. Let's talk about it.
Okay, we'll get to that on the podcast 30. He had a friend over the weekend. So I want to get this is just dripping with just condescending. This last paragraph. This is the first time that straight, white, cis men have been forced to think of themselves as anything other than human neutral. No, never occurred to me.
What does that even mean?
And that must be a difficult thing. Poor baby. I added that part. And I don't say this to be sarcastic. I can see how it is a tough spot. It's not your fault. You didn't build this mess. You were born into it like the rest of us. What I am saying is, I have empathy for you. And empathy, by the way, is one of the traits that women are most famous for. Get out of here. Get out of here. There's nothing more cruel than women when dealing with other women. You know it by another name, weakness, but don't be fooled. Empathy is a superpower, and it's the only one that any human has to offer. And the reason I know this is because I'm smarter than you. I'm enlightened. You're just some boob who was born into the middle of it. Can't see it all, but me? I went to college. So I know why you do what you do better than you do, because I'm smarter than you. I've been educated. But I feel sorry for you.
Is that part of? Are you still reading?
Yeah, this is my analysis. This is my analysis. I do feel sorry for you though, because well, you're not as smart as me. You didn't go to college. So, while I beat you down, I want you to know that I do feel sorry for you. I have empathy, a female trait you should look into. I have had dental hygienists who have been less condescending to me. All right, that music says we're done on this side. We're going to the podcast 30 and talk about the friend that kept pulling Jared aside over the weekend to enlighten him about some of the things he was saying. We'll do that. You can join us on the podcast 30. We need to go to the Facebook.
Facebook, Von Haessler Doctrine. Click the little red box.
There you go. We'll be back. Thanks for listening to the Von Haessler Doctrine podcast. Remember, you can hear the show every weekday from 9 to noon right here on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Like current events and want to be the smartest among your friends? Then the Power Pod is the show for you.
The Power Pod is a weekly recap show where we cover the current events of the week.
It's a show where we're not afraid to get serious. And we're not afraid to have some fun.
So try us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, the WSB Radio app, WSBRadio.com, Stitcher, CastBox. Okay. Anywhere there are podcasts, we are there. So power up with the Power Pod.
Watch your mouth, woman.
Yee.
What is this?
Because I'm too lazy to say
yeah.
yeah.
What kind of sound?
Huh?
What in the hell are you saying? Hey.
All right, I'm Eric Von Haessler.
Okay.
Welcome to the Silver Room, where all your dreams come true. Tim Andrews is here. J-Lo on the rocking the tunes.
J-Lo?
J-Rad. Ah.